Uh-oh. Hold on.
Because of it.
Destiny, channel points re. Do I have to turn those on? I thought they turned on automatically.
From the New York Times, I'm Michael Barbaro. This is The Daily. Last week, when President Trump raised tariffs against China to an astonishing 145%, he radically changed the cost of doing business for thousands of American companies. So much so, in fact, that many of those companies may not survive. Today, the story of one of those businesses.
It's Ludwig's merch.
It's Monday, April 14th.
All right, it's recording.
Okay. Well, thank you for Beth making time for us. We really appreciate it. How are you doing over there?
Oh, not good. Not good at all.
You look ever so slightly raw.
Yeah, well, I just talked to my best friend who, from the Army, we met when we were serving together. And so I filled her in and, you know, she's feeling hopeless and helpless with me now.
We're going to get to why this has been such a...
There's no video. It's an audio. It's a podcast. There's no video. 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 Stop.
...trying moment for you because of the tariffs. I want to start by having you tell us the story of your company. And just to begin, tell us the name of the company, and then tell us the story of how you went about creating this company.
So my name is Beth, and I am the CEO and founder of Busy Baby. I grew up in southern Minnesota, the daughter of an entrepreneur. My dad has a small business. He's a welder. So I grew up in his business, and I grew up wanting to have my own business as well.
Why? What was it about watching your dad have a business that
the
made you
freedom.
want to...
It was the freedom. It was the being able to leave work and come to my softball games and choose the work he wants to do and turn away the work he doesn't want to do. Mm-hmm. You know, being in control of your own destiny. But what he always told me is, you know, you really got to be passionate about what you're doing, because when hard times hit, and they absolutely will, if you're not passionate about what you're doing, you're not going to make it. So when I graduated high school, I wasn't passionate about anything other than not going to college. I tried it and wasn't a big fan. And a recruiter called me out of the blue, and I ended up joining the military. So I joined the Army. I convinced my brother to join the military. So we served together in Europe. We deployed to the war in Iraq, and we started in Kuwait before the war started. And so, like, to bring that around, now my brother runs Busy Baby with me.
Oh, wow.
And we always joke about...
Wait, real quick. Is there a trick to making it so that these things don't run out of bacteria, or... Oh, there's probably some complicated circuit network I could do to cycle one of these. Fuck all that.
What's it been, like almost 22, 23 years ago, when we were sitting in the desert, you know, throwing little rocks at a bigger rock, waiting for something to happen. Did we ever imagine we'd be schlepping baby products out the back of our cars at the state fair? Like, just if you would have told us that in Iraq, we would have just laughed.
Well, how did you end up getting from there to Busy Baby? What's the story of how you go from Army to entrepreneur?
Yeah, so after the Army, it took me a few years to readjust to civilian life. So I settled back in Minnesota. I found a great corporate job, and I met my now husband, and we started a family. So I had taken the full 3 months of maternity leave that my company offered and went back to work. And when I went back to work, 2 of my stay-at-home mom friends took me out for lunch. Their girls were adorable, but a complete distraction the entire meal. Just doing what babies do. You know, they reach for everything on the table. They drop things on the ground. We couldn't finish a conversation, you know?
I have 2 toddlers. I know exactly what you're referring to.
Exactly. So I just went online. What am I going to buy on Amazon that's going to make it so my kid's not this distraction when he's old enough to join us at the table? So I did the search on Amazon. My friend said, you know, you really need to make sure you have a clean surface to put baby's food on, because you never know what they're wiping these tables down with. If you put the stuff on the plates get thrown on the ground. I said, well, okay, cool. Yes, we need that. But I also want to attach their toys so that they can't throw them on the ground.
And nothing like that quite existed?
No. There's been a million pacifier clips where you can, like, attach stuff to their clothes. And then there's regular placemats that you can, like, they had this, I think at the time it was pretty much just disposable placemats that you could, like, stick down to the table. And I wanted something that was going to be reusable. And an idea popped in my head. And that night I went home and I got, like, silicone caulk that you use to, like, caulk around your sink or your bathtub, whatever. And I squirted it into a quarter baking sheet, and then I started cobbling.
They must know, right?
And an idea popped in my head.
Why?
And that night I went home and I got, like, silicone caulk that you use to, like, caulk around your sink or your bathtub, whatever. And I squirted it into a quarter baking sheet, and then I started cobbling together something that might work. That developed into me buying some silicone dog mats off of Amazon and suction cups. And then I used another set of, like, my husband's fishing tethers to glue attachment points to the top of the placemat. So now there was a mat where you could put the food, and then also these little fishing tether things where I could just change out toys and just hook up the toys. And because it was suctioned to the table, baby didn't throw it onto the ground.
So how do you end up turning this prototype into an actual product?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even know it was called a prototype at the time, or a minimum viable product. I now know. The most important step was to find a professional who knew how to do that, because I certainly did not. So I found my product developers in Utah, and they held my hand all the way through the manufacturing process. We did look for manufacturing in the U.S., and because we were at such a small scale, it wasn't a fit for us to be able to start in the U.S., so we started in China.
Just explain that. I mean, why did it feel impractical to start developing products here in the U.S.?
It comes down to costs and volume. So it is very expensive to manufacture in the US. Obviously, the cost of labor is very high, but most of the raw material that we use in manufacturing, like for us, we use silicone, which comes from silica, which is not readily available and sourced in the US. So for us, to import the raw material was more expensive than importing the product in its finished packaged form.
Wow.
So that's one aspect of it. But so for the factories that do exist in the US, they typically have very high minimum order quantities. So you would have to start off with 10 or 20,000 units to make it worth their time to set up the line. I mean, there's a lot of work that goes into a manufacturing line, setting up the machinery.
Right.
Now you're tying it up so nothing else can get produced, getting the material ready. China was willing to do a minimum order quantity that first round of 1,000 units.
Which is a heck of a lot different than 30,000.
Exactly. And unlike, maybe tech startups or other small businesses that get funding, I was bootstrapping. I sold my car. I used my tax return. I borrowed $35,000 from my stepdad.
Wow.
I still owe him that, actually. So I ended up doing a 5,000 unit run because I wanted to do multiple colors. So when I launched the product in 2019, I blasted my entire email list. Probably like old high school boyfriends got an email saying I was launching a baby product. And the initial orders were mostly from friends and family. But the first time I got an order from someone I didn't know of, and then they left me a positive review, I knew that was like, everything was going to be okay.
Next up is a solution to a common problem for babies.
So part of my original email list that went out when I launched the product included a Shark Tank producer whose email I had gotten previously when they were looking for veterans to feature on the show.
Tank.
Hi, Sharks. My name is Beth Bimbo. I'm from Rochester, Minnesota, and I'm here seeking $250,000 for 5% of my business, Busy Baby.
Wow.
That ultimately led me to being on Shark Tank. I filmed during the pandemic in 2020 and then aired in March of 2021.
One shark is out, but Lori is interested in Beth's baby placemat, Busy Baby.
I'm going to give you an offer. It'll be a little aggressive.
I mean, this is incredible. So suddenly you find yourself on the premier television show for small businesses trying to break out and basically have your idea validated by these ultra-rich, successful business people. As you can tell, I was a fan of the show.
So I'm going to offer you the $250,000, but I'd like 20%.
Whoa.
Would you be willing to do it for 10%?
10%.
Oh,
No, I
the
think
noise.
20% is
Not
good.
the noise.
I think 20%.
It was the most amazing experience. It was surreal. I would love to do this with you for 15. I can't go past 15.
Well,
I just can't.
for me, the bottom line would be 18.
I can't do it. I can't. I just.
Whoa.
I
Good for
know
you,
what
Beth.
I've done, and
Wow.
I
When
can
an
let you
entrepreneur
do.
sticks to their guns.
You could.
And what happened after you were on the show to the business?
Thank you for your time.
Fantastic
Good luck
job.
to you.
Thank you,
I
guys.
am
Thank
rooting
you.
for you.
Thanks. I'm very confident in myself and my plans and what I'm doing, and I really think I can do it. I just wasn't willing to give up 18%. The weekend we aired, we had about 6 weeks worth of sales in 3 days. It's unreal. We sold so many Busy Baby mats. It was just amazing.
And for those who don't have the mat, how much does this cost? What are you charging people?
We have a line of products that range from $10 to $30, but the hero product, the one everybody knows from Shark Tank, that runs $30 retail.
So what does your business look like pretty much up until a week or so ago? Just how big has it gotten?
I think lifetime sales were over 15 million.
Wow.
There's my brother and I full-time, and then we have 3 other full-time employees, and then
That's
we just brought on 2 part-time
crazy,
employees
Chad.
to help us. I was just named, actually, less than a month ago, the SBA gave me a wonderful
Small
award.
Business Administration, Federal Small Business
Yep.
Administration.
Small Business Administration awarded me Small Business Person of the Year for Minnesota.
Mazel tov. That's fantastic.
And then this past November, we launched in Walmart for the first time. And then just last month, we launched in Target. For a business our size, that's massive.
Huge.
And it was years of effort to get there.
I mean, how are you financing all of this? Because the former retail reporter in me knows that this is expensive, and you said you don't have outside investors. This is a fully owned business by you. So how are you paying for all this product?
So I think what a lot of people don't know is you make a contract with the retailers, you agree to a certain price that they're going to pay for your product, and then it's a risk for me. Like, we don't know how it's going to sell, but we know we have this contract and it lasts a year, and we've made the guarantee that we're going to supply them with product for this year. And so I had to take out additional loans to cover that cost. So I have SBA loans through my bank, but because I already had other debt, I had to leverage my personal property as collateral to get the loan.
I just want to make sure I understand this. So in order to finance the amount of product required to be in these major national retail chains, you take out loans that are in part personally guaranteed with your house as a form of collateral.
Oof.
Yep.
Big
You got
deal.
it. Big deal. Big risk. And every small business that eventually ends up in one of those retailers, it's the biggest risk.
Okay, so now, of course, I want to turn to the subject at hand, which is the tariffs. You've been experiencing all the success over the past many months. So I'm curious, what do you think to yourself when Donald Trump is elected and starts to talk about what he describes as Liberation Day, tariffs that he's promising are going to rebalance global trade? What are you thinking? What are
as
you
a huge
doing, perhaps, to
Trump supporter,
prepare
I
for
voted for him, and I love
I mean, we
it.
expected the tariffs. Up until that point, we haven't ever paid tariffs. Our product falls into a category that hasn't had tariffs. We pay tax and duty, but we haven't had tariffs to date. So we knew that was going to be a new thing for us, and we budgeted expecting reasonable tariffs of 20 to 30%.
You budgeted for those?
Yeah, we knew that was coming. An overwhelming number of people voted Donald Trump into office, and he talked nonstop that was something that was going to happen. So we expected to have tariffs. Never in a million years would I expect that tariff would be 145%. Never.
Which is what it is right now.
Yeah, well, that's what it is today.
Is that
Now let's
high?
just
Is that
give
a
it a couple
lot?
hours. It might be something else this afternoon.
Let me know.
Well, in a word, what has it been like for you and your business
for that 145% tariff to become your reality?
It's devastating. I cannot bring this product into the US now. I don't have that kind of money. And what that means then is if I can't bring in that product and I run out of what's in my warehouse now, then I no longer have revenue coming into my business. And what that means...
With a lot of businesses, especially, I think, I don't have any area of expertise here though, so take what I say with a grain of salt, but especially businesses that have to do with holding inventory, you're floating a lot of cash and stuff sometimes in that, like, you might be holding a lot of inventory, or you might have loans out for particular things or whatever. You know, there's like stuff like this going on all the time. Having massive, when we talked earlier, like, why do futures exist? Well, sometimes people like to trade on futures, not necessarily because they're sitting here trying to beat the market and gamble, but because it gives them some insurance. Like, I think airlines will buy fuel ahead of time, or farmers will, you know, trade on crops ahead of time, so they're guaranteed some price because it gives us some level of stability. Anybody that's like floating any kind of, you know, loan, like this lady, it sounds like she even personally guaranteed it, which means her own personal assets are at stake, are going to be mega fucked on stuff like this. Rip.
Means is I can no longer pay my employees. I can no longer pay my loans, to which my house is leveraged against. And in about 6 months, I could very, very possibly lose my home.
We'll be right back.
Damn.
Beth, walk us through the logistics of what it started to look like immediately after the tariffs go into place.
Yeah. I currently have 2 to 3 months worth of product in my warehouse. We just finished production of another 2 to 3 months of product. It was supposed to get on a ship 2 days ago.
From China to the US.
From China to the US. And that was the day that tariffs jumped up to 54%. I have somewhere, give me a second, I want to pull up my numbers so I can tell you specifically the effect. All right, we're going to do a little math. So for us, that meant instead of the $30,000 tariff we had budgeted for, it now was $85,000.
And how much is the product itself worth?
The product itself is worth $158,000.
So suddenly you're faced with a potential $80,000 tariff on about $158,000 worth of goods. Do I have that right?
Yeah, $85,000 for the 54%. And we don't have that, but we have good margins. We could survive that. And we thought, well, maybe we can do a GoFundMe. Because maybe right now in this political climate, people would be willing to give us $20 to help us get through this so that we don't have to raise our prices or go out of business. It wasn't devastating yet. The next day, when it went up to 104%,
right,
that math is $164,000.
And at that point, the tariffs are going to cost more than the value of the goods, right?
Yep. So that no longer makes business sense.
Oh, wow. Welcome to America. Is the background for my Destiny GG chat, is this black or is this a different color? I noticed for my, oh no, wait. I don't know how this HDR bullshit works. When I go on Twitter, on my computer over here, the Twitter background is like super black, like HDR black. But on this computer here, it's not HDR black. But my DGG chat is not HDR black. I have no idea why. It's lighter than the black on Twitter. Oh, okay. That makes sense then. Okay, that's all I wanted to know.
We're going to learn about the world.
Is this making fun of liberals or leftists? It's Bo Burnham. I don't think he's like a ultra heavily political guy. It's more like social-ish commentary. Have you watched Inside? No, I don't know what that is. What does that mean? Uh-oh. Is Ryan McBeth waking up? Oh my fucking god. Okay, quick random meme question that no one will be able to answer. Except maybe somebody will be able to answer. There's literally no point to me asking this question. On Just Works, if you hire somebody and then you send out the email, but then you realize that it's like a different email, you need to do something different. Is there a way to just like cancel this without having to like schedule like a termination and all this bullshit? Is that possible? Does anybody have any idea? It's so fucking annoying. Destiny, from the USA point of view, what's the difference between Ukraine getting NATO membership and Ukraine having European troops there with a US backstop? Aren't they both tripwires for the US joining a future war via Article 5? My understanding is that Article 5 can only be triggered if your soldiers or your territory is attacked in your territory. I don't believe that Article 5 is triggered if your soldiers are attacked in another country. Wait, we can watch this while I do this. Fuck.
A lot of people asked me to comment on President Zelensky's meeting with President Trump on Friday, February 28th, 2025 at the White House. Look, right now I'm sick. I went to urgent care yesterday. They said it's not the flu and it's not COVID. I'm stuffy, I've been coughing, I have a fever, so maybe I have some advanced genetically engineered Romanian freaking rhinovirus that I brought back to me from Europe. Right now I feel like I've been run over by a dump truck. And the fact is that my latest novel, The Last Republic, is on deadline and has to get sent to the editor, so I need to get that done. So I'm going to make this quick because I need to get back in bed and die. I titled this video "Are We the Baddies?" after a sketch from that British show, That Michael and Webb Look.
Our caps. The badges on our caps. They've got skulls on them. Are we the baddies?
This comes at an interesting time because I was just in Poland and Romania visiting NATO sites and talking with NATO members. One of the sites that I visited was JTEC, or the Joint Analysis and Education Center. Or Joint Analysis Training and Education Center, sorry, I'm still messed up. It is basically a schoolhouse that's founded by NATO, administered by Poland, and run by Ukraine. The whole idea is that Ukraine has learned a lot over the last 3 years from their war with Russia, and their instructors come to Poland to help teach NATO members what they've learned, things about drone warfare, robotics, unmanned systems. It's a really neat school. It's a great idea for a school, and NATO is learning a lot from these Ukrainian instructors. Sorry. While I was in Poland, I attended an exercise where I watched dudes in ghillie suits attack a trench line. And that seemed to me like one of the stupidest ideas I've ever heard. Like, why are you wearing some hot-ass ghillie suit to attack a trench line? But what the Ukrainians have found is that wearing a ghillie suit not only breaks up your outline while you're moving across the field to hit the trench, it also lowers your thermal profile, so it makes it harder for drones to spot you. And that's something that Ukraine learned the hard way, and that they're sharing with us now that they have this school, this JTEC. Ukraine never really asked for anything more than weapons and ammunition. They have tested their flesh against metal in order to remain free from the yoke of authoritarianism. And at one point during the White House conversation yesterday, Vice President J.D. Vance asked if President Zelensky had ever thanked the U.S. for our help. And yes, Ukraine has said thank you. They helped found JTEC. And it's where we get to learn all of Ukraine's lessons to see how we can apply them to the next war.
Just to be clear, they wanted like a personal thank you, a groveling is what they were looking for.
So not only have they thanked us, they paid us in information. Also, every time Ukraine fires a Patriot missile, that data is going back to the U.S. So we've learned a lot on how to do air defense from incoming theater ballistic missiles just from that. The funny thing is that while this conversation in the White House is going on, I believe while the meeting was taking place, there's a funeral in Ukraine for a young American, a former Marine who went to Ukraine to volunteer, and he lost his life in the fighting. His name was Ethan Hurtwreck. And this is how Ukraine says thank you. The real winner in this whole exchange was Russia, who seriously can't believe its luck. I mean, when you are handing content wins to RT, formerly known as Russia Today, you probably need to reevaluate your strategy, right? Kind of the scary thing for me was that my Newsmax colleague, Carl Higbee, posted on Twitter after the exchange saying, "America is so back." And while I respect Carl Higbee, I think it's a rather short-sighted view. Mainly because if America is taking the side of Russia in a conflict, it calls into question all American aid. If America could hold back weapon systems because the president feels slighted or snubbed, or the president, the person the president's speaking to isn't doing what he wants him to do, that could put many weapons programs in danger, such as our sale of the F-35 to India. And,
he's dying. It's all over, boys.
The world will be a better, safer place if India has American weapon systems and with India operating the F-35. But why buy the F-35 from America if just saying the wrong thing to the president could get him to cut off your supply of parts? And I think that's the real takeaway from this interaction. If I were Australia, who just agreed to buy 3 Virginia-class submarines from the U.S. instead of buying some of France's submarines, I would seriously start taking a look at France's submarines again. I mean, yes, ours are quieter, but they come with a fondue machine. You know, I wouldn't want to risk a major defense platform on the whims of a man who was looking for what he called good television, right? You know, one of the things that President Trump said to President Zelensky was, "You're not winning this." And for almost 3 years, I have said there is no win. There is lose and there is lose more. Russia isn't going to win and Ukraine isn't going to win. Russia literally can't win because the day the war ends is the day their economy collapses. But if America champions the cause of Russia, or even takes their side or pursues sanction relief for Russia, then that gives Russia a soft landing and they can lose less. And that's about as close to a win as they're going to get. I think the only way Russia can lose less is if America supports Russia. America is supposed to stand for freedom and democracy, not good television. And the people of Ukraine have made it clear that they do not want to live under the control of Russia. And yet we just handed Russia a victory essentially for free. Which begs the question, are we the baddies? If you want to help pay for my funeral expenses, grab the wind machine from Amazon or from Audible. It'll still help keep you busy until The Last Republic comes out. Also grab one of my rock out with your chalk out aerosol shirts from Bunker Branding. Thank you for watching. I'm going to go die now.
Rip.
Wow, this.
One of the challenges for the next few years is we have to convince the American public, because the administration, it doesn't matter anymore. So like somebody linked this in chat. Norwegian fuel supplier cuts off U.S. Navy, urges others to join. Haltback Bunkers. Haltbach Bunkers, a major Norwegian fuel company, has stopped refueling U.S. Navy vessels and is urging European firms to do the same. Like, for the current admin, this is just a win. Because it means, oh, cool, well, we're just not going to waste money sending our Navy anywhere. We're not going to send them anywhere, and that's fine. But I think you just have to give a bunch of W's to the current administration, and then you have to hope that the American people don't want America to just fully withdraw from the entire world stage. Did I watch the Warren Smith video yet? The one that the short one he made about me, the one yesterday? Yeah, we did. He disrespected the United States of America in its cherished Oval Office. He can come back when he's ready for peace. And they shot a fucking video? Why does Trump want to increase defense spending when he's pursuing detent? With China and Russia? I don't know. You're not asking the right, or you're not oriented in the right direction. I don't think there's like a coherent thing. I think we just like say things and then we'll do things. Like they want to cut the Pentagon because smaller budget good, but they want to boost the military because big military good. Even though these things are contradictory, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's not about like what is real or what exists in reality. It's just kind of like saying the things that make people feel good in the moment, and then you just move on to the next thing. So I think that it's probably detente. It's probably a waste of time trying to appeal to the current administration, and you just have to appeal, I guess, to the American people, hopefully. You only need like a few percentage points of people to make the party unviable, right? The Republican Party, that's all you have to do. You don't have to like convince like 50% of them, so. Are you aware of JIT versus AOT compilers? Yeah, but I don't think anybody really uses JIT anymore. The AOT ones are just way more, they're just easier to deploy across an entire network, I think, and have everybody, I don't even know what those mean. Attack on Titan versus JIT. I don't know what either that is. Just in time versus ahead of time. Okay. But convincing the general public means going against all news everywhere at this point. True. We need state governors to step the fuck up. Where's Gavin Newsom? Yeah, I don't know, man. There's a lot of like big things that have to change, and I just don't see. I don't even know if the will to change some of these things exists, so it's hard. Like, I think that Democrats, but like this is so hard because they love this messaging so much, or at least the ones that I see, or the progressive. The Democrats need to drop all the weird shit about like the billionaires and the donors. Like, it's not time to cut potential funders out of the party that might align with you in interests. Like, this is so stupid, the fixation on that. And the Jesus, I don't know, man. It's a lot of dumb shit. All the left media that doesn't care about actual elections is fucking stupid. The silence from past presidents is the worst. It makes it seem way more normalized. Past presidents typically don't speak on current things. I believe, did Bush not support Trump in 2016 or was it 2020? And that was considered, I think, a pretty big deal that he said that. Like, I think past presidents just typically aren't involved in current politics. It's just like a norm, basically. But I mean, yeah, they should be now for sure. Deepak interviewed top 10 congressmen and senators the past 2 weeks, Raskin, Warren, etc., and literally none of them have a fucking path forward. I like the Raskin guy. I don't know if he's like a good politician or whatever. I mean, he wins elections, but I just like him because he seems like he knows his shit. But nobody cares about that anymore, so. To be fair, Trump did win on that populism shit. It makes sense why leftists want their own populist message. Maybe a little. I don't know why the right is more, but it's more than just the populism though. It's all the crazy shit on top of it.
Watch this guy.
How long ago was his interview with Raskin? I'm just curious. Because we watched Brian Tyler Cohen interview him. Leftists have much better propaganda than center-left liberals, and they can harness populism much like Trump does. Yeah, but they don't, like... It doesn't translate electorally, like, anywhere. Like, where are all of our communist socialist fucking candidates winning elections? I think countering the Putin just wants peace narrative is an important one. Maybe going over all the different peace agreements that he's brought. But these people don't care about the facts. That's the difficult thing. Like, every time it's like, oh, well, we just need to show them all of these things in the past. Like, they won't believe in any of it, right? Or they only need, remember, on the conspiracy brain on the right, they only need one thing. They can be wrong on 19 things. They only need one right thing, and that's it for them. And then on the other side can be right about 19 things and wrong on one thing, and that's enough for them to discount it. Like, there's something else going on. Yeah. What is this?
A man charged with capital murder of a Texas police officer has been released on bond. The first time someone has been released with such serious charges in over 20 years. Now a Texas judge is facing blowback after setting bond for the second suspect charged in the case.
Unfortunately, Judge Hillary Unger is a rogue judge and notorious for releasing repeat offenders who go out and kill other members of our community. We've got to stop these rogue judges. I was attacked as DA for fighting against this type of activity by our local judges. Right now, we appear to have a DA that's complacent and okay with it.
Here to help us look at this rogue judge's record is Fraternal Order of Police National Vice President and current Houston police officer, Joe Gamaldi. Thank you for joining us, officer. So just help us break this down for us, because it's kind of mind-boggling to think that a judge would grant bail to someone who's accused of killing a cop.
Yeah, well, let's be clear. This judge is an absolute disgrace, and she doesn't even deserve to be called a judge. She's just an activist masquerading as one. I mean, to allow these two dirtbags who are charged with viciously ambushing and shooting Deputy Escada over 41 times to make sure they finish the job. I mean, to give these individuals bond is unconscionable. I've never seen anything like it in my 20 years in law enforcement. But as shocking as it is completely on brand for this so-called judge who has made a habit out of letting cold-blooded murderers walk out of her courtroom. She let another monster out on a murder bond who went on to rob a 71-year-old woman and murder her by... But along with so many others are on Judge Unger's hands. If she had a shred of integrity, which I assure you she does not, she would resign in shame for this.
So when this case came up and you realized that this accused cop killer had been granted parole, you already knew Judge Hillary Unger? You knew her reputation?
Yeah, everyone is familiar with Judge Unger here in Harris County because she has made a habit of letting violent criminals out over and over again, and it completely erodes the trust that law enforcement has in the criminal justice system.
What is the Houston Chronicle? Can't you have to subscribe? Come on, seriously?
But more importantly, it completely violates the trust of the community. How are we expected to investigate cases? How are we expected to get witnesses to come forward if the spineless judge is going to let the suspects right back out on the street before the paperwork's dry? And what this judge is really signaling to the community is that she cares more about her revolving door criminal justice ideology than she does about the community members out in our streets.
So what does it say to your fellow officers who have to actually go out there and enforce the law, knowing that judges like this are just going to let an accused cop killer back out on the street?
How many January 6 people were pardoned again? Many of whom were fighting with federal officers?
What it really says is that she doesn't give a damn about police officers. She doesn't care that we put our lives on the line every single day to protect our communities. She doesn't give a damn about the community if you're willing to let murderers out over and over and over again. And you know what? Someone needs to stick a microphone in her face and ask, do you feel a shred of responsibility for the people that you have let out and then have gone on to rob, murder, assault, rape innocent people in our communities? And you know what? She's up for the election in 2026, so the members of Harris County need to make sure they vote her ass out.
Officer Joe Gamaldi, thank you for joining us.
Okay, somebody wanted me to go over this. I linked it in chat, but I can't access the fucking article, and I'm not subscribing to a random city's fucking media thing. But apparently, this said, Unger reminded both sides in court that the Harris County District Attorney's Office, then led by Kim Ogg, never followed through on holding a hearing to hold Francis without bail, forcing her to set an amount in his case last November based on his financial affidavit showing limited assets. The judge, a two-term Democrat, previously targeted by the Stop Houston Murders PAC, told the Chronicle on Wednesday she was constitutionally obligated to set a bond in Francis's case. Yeah, it sounds like, just going on that paragraph, unless there's something else, it sounds like the judge has to set a bond unless the DA has a hearing or something showing why that person shouldn't be allowed to post bond at all, I guess. Wait, this says Judge Hillary Unger declined a no bond request from the former district attorney. Capital murder suspect charged in the killing of a Harris County sheriff's deputy was released on bond Tuesday, even though prosecutors had requested that he be held without bond last year. Wait, so which article is correct? I can't read the Houston Chronicle shit article, so. According to records from the Harris County District Office the District Clerk's Office, Judge Hillary Unger of the 248th District Criminal Court set bonds for Dramone Eugene Francis, age 27, at $500,000 for capital murder, $500,000 for tampering with evidence. One of two suspects in this murder. Both Palmer and Francis were charged with capital murder. Palmer is being held without bond. Oh, wait. So, Raphael Lemaitre, a spokesperson for new Harris County District Attorney Sean Terre, and formerly employed by Harris County Judge Lena Hidalgo. What the fuck are these names? Blamed former DA Kim Ogg. He said that prosecutors had failed to follow through on a request for no bond with a hearing, so the court could not lawfully hold him on no bond. Ogg told the Texan that her office always filed motions asking for a hearing, but that it was up to the judge to set the hearing and a trial. Harris County's bail bond practices were featured in a recent Texas Senate committee hearing on bail reform measures. Jesus. Hoffman cited research indicating that since 2021, so that's like 3-4 years, there had been 162 homicide cases filed in the county for which the defendant was out on bond. That's pretty wild if that's true. Jesus. Christ. Here's the PDF. Judge sets $3 million bail for accused Harris County deputy shooter. Well, I feel like the DA can probably request a hearing, and then it's up to the court to schedule it. I don't know if the judge schedules things or if there are other people that do it, but I don't know I don't know whose fault it is. I guess you have to just post receipts. I don't think I understand bail destiny. How are these people affording these massive bail prices? Most of them just got really lucky in crypto. Or they go to a bail bondsman where you can post a percentage of bail and then they loan you basically the money to post bail to the courthouse. Yeah. Ugh. There are plugins that basically work as a site hub, but for news sites that are fantastic. Oh. Scheduling is usually done by the judge with coordination between prosecution/defense, at least in my county. The judge themselves does scheduling? I feel like that would be like an assistant or something. Didn't conservative judges keep saying that norms and decorum are so important for the judicial branch? Exactly, because that branch holds no way to enforce its will. Do you think they will come out and defend the branch's authority, or will they roll over? Huh, good one. What is the what's our next deadline for this TRO shit? Country, not county. Oh, so by noon yesterday, we read their filings, and then who knows how long it'll take for them to go over this. March 10th. This person said eating fast food is cheaper than buying food from grocery stores.
What even is the point of...
You linked me a 5-year-old video from Adam. If the Supreme Court blocks the TRO, I just don't know why you would follow any law in this country. I don't know why the fuck you would ever do anything. Well, as long as you're being loyal to Trump. Like, if you're going to commit crime or do something, you should just wear a MAGA hat, right?
Cooking at home. This has been a non-question for most humans, because for most of human history, the only person who was going to turn this into this was you. I prepare food because I want to eat. That's been all of the reasoning that most humans who've ever lived have ever needed. From our hunter-gatherer life to our agrarian life, and even into much of our industrial life, the only person who was going to feed you was most likely going to be you, or someone in your immediate social group. But now, for people like me, living in highly developed post-industrial economies, because I want to eat is probably one of the weakest reasons for cooking, in my opinion. We live in a world where this chicken costs about the same as this chicken from the same store. And in this world, I think it really pays to interrogate why we would buy this one. Field trip to Oxford, and not that Oxford, Oxford, Georgia, where Dr. Derek Shannon is a sociology professor at Oxford College of Emory University. He specializes in things like political economy and teaches a course here that's quite relevant to our discussion.
The sociology of food course that I designed is a part of what Oxford College calls our theory, practice, service, learning program.
This is true. There is like there's this middle ground of food that you can buy, which is, I don't even know how you would describe this, but people think you can either buy groceries or you can get like fast food. But grocery stores usually sell like prepared food, kind of. It's not like fast food, but it's not, you're not buying a chicken and then preparing it yourself. They have it, it'll be like in warmed bags or stuff like that. Is it ready to make maybe? I don't know.
Part of what my students do is work here on Oxford's organic farm.
Look at this place. Even in the middle of February, it's beautiful. The apple trees over here are blooming. They've got all these garlic and onions and cabbage going. But anyway, if you ask Dr. Shannon what's the point of cooking at home these days, the first thing he says is...
because it's an enjoyable and desirable activity. Some people like cooking, just like some people like knitting, and you can go buy a sweater for cheaper than the materials that it might take.
Indeed. The first good reason for cooking at...
Also, did he ever comment on these old videos? Why is his lighting so insane? Holy shit.
Home is because it's fun. This is, in my view, an unassailable reason for doing anything that isn't particularly harmful to others or particularly harmful to your long-term fun-having capacity. I recently put out a recipe for French macaroons in which I encouraged people to loosen their expectations about how these things should look. If you just care about how they taste and leave the cosmetics up to fate, they become as easy to make as they are delicious. But if you derive pleasure from working to create cosmetically perfect macaroons, I think that's great. You have my blessing, not that you asked for it. My argument is only this. If it's making you miserable to try to create perfectly round, smooth domes with perfect little ruffled feet, then stop. Make the ugly ones or buy the beautiful ones. Also, maybe try to think a little bit more critically about whether the things that you do really do make you happy. This is something I try really hard to do, especially with regard to my creative work. Am I struggling to make this thing because I enjoy the challenge? Good reason. Am I struggling to make this thing because I'll learn something valuable from the struggle? Good reason. Part of the reason I spent so much time and effort trying to recreate the New York-style pizza from my youth was pure curiosity. I wanted to understand on a tactile level what makes that stuff taste the way it does. Am I working to make this thing because the end product will give me joy? Good reason. I think this chicken tastes way better than this chicken. Am I going through hell to make this thing because someone will give me money for it at the end? You gotta get paid, son. Am I slaving over this thing because it will make someone else happy? Really good reason. Maybe the best reason. Am I killing myself on this thing because I think it will impress someone? Not such a good reason, in my opinion. Look, this is a conversation about the meaning of life we're having here, so reasonable people are going to disagree. But in my view, cooking should be about about nourishing and nurturing people, including yourself. It should be about giving people pleasure, including yourself. And while you might be able to make yourself happy by dazzling people with your skills, I would question whether that's in the interest of your long-term happiness or maybe your deeper, more meaningful happiness. And I would definitely wonder if it might be pleasure that you're taking at someone else's expense. This phenomenon was brilliantly crystallized in the 2010 South Park episode, Cream Fraiche. I can't play too much of it for you without angering the copyright gods, but you should go watch it. The Hulu link is in the description.
Every time you watch cooking shows, you stay up all night trying to copy what they made.
Well, I'm sorry if there's something wrong with me helping out with the cooking.
Can I have a Pop-Tart?
So in this instance, the harm is relatively mild, right? Randy's family is annoyed that he is flexing on them rather than providing them with the food they actually want to eat. And they're annoyed that he is filling the house with misery and stress and dirty dishes in the process. Mild harm. I do think that there's some more serious or pernicious harm associated with this phenomenon.
One of the things that sociologists of food study is how a range of relations of inequality are embedded in our food supply chain. And that's not just buying, it also includes preparing, cooking, and so on. And it's not very difficult to find differentials in who has to cook and who gets to cook and when, who gets prestige in the act of cooking and who doesn't. And so
my little brother is an RFK fan now and only eats steak and drinks raw milk all day. What do I do? I mean, it's hard, but ideally, if you live out in the country, you got to take him out back. Maybe feed him his favorite meal. And when he's not looking, give him liberal propaganda. Hold on, let me grab a Red Bull. Fuck, it gets cold in this room. One of the things that's triggering me the most, I watched this again last night off stream because I was just so triggered.
Of Elon Musk.
Life. I grew up in.
I listen to this again and again. It's more annoying to me that was it Milo or was it Flint? One of the two archaeologist guys, I think it was Flint. He brought up this idea, and it's been growing in my mind. It's this concept of forbidden knowledge that
because of health issues.
People like act when people will say something and they'll be like, "Yeah, so." My sometimes my zipper when I zip up my jacket, sometimes it's really hard to like start it like at the very bottom, like it gets stuck and it's so annoying, and you're not allowed to talk about this. I'm like, what do you mean you're not allowed to talk about this? What do you mean? What are you talking about? One of the guys did it on Joe Rogan. Was it Brett Weinstein or was it somebody else? Where they were like, yeah, the only time I was sick, or was it JD Vance? Who was it? He was like, the only time I got real sick was when I got the booster, and they don't tell you that. And it's like, what? Every doctor, every single person in society was talking about how like, ooh, the booster, that's rough. The booster's rougher than the first vax. The booster's rougher than getting some of the variant. Every single person in the country was talking about that. What do you mean they don't allow you to talk about this? I'm sorry, I went back and I listened to this lady's story, and it's just like, this is just unbelievable to me. So she's 34 years old, okay?
Something that happened to me over the course of this past decade. I was put on birth control in 2018.
So when she was what, like 28 years old, she got on birth control. Okay, 28 years old.
Because of health issues.
Because of health issues, okay.
And it completely upended my life.
Why did you keep taking it? No one is forcing you. You're an adult. When she first told the story, I was thinking like, okay, maybe they gave it to her when she was 15 and she was too dumb to stop if it was giving her, whatever. 28 years old.
How so? I really never said this before, but it's really had such a traumatic and tremendous impact on my thinking. I feel like I wasted 5 years of my life because I was on birth control.
an adult, and not like an adult like 18, 19. You were like in your late 20s. Why didn't you just stop taking it?
And when I decided to come off it in May 2023, I felt like I reclaimed my life.
Why is this so dramatic? Well, how did you decide? Did you escape the man force feeding you every morning?
And realize that conservatives were right about birth control. You know.
Oh, and then I love that conservatives were right. Oh, so birth control is an evil, malicious thing that's being force fed to children in order to turn them into premature fuck machines, because that's basically like the conservative talking point when it comes to birth control. So they were right because at 27 or 28, a doctor recommended you birth control and you took it and you were too stupid to stop taking it when you had bad reactions to it. Okay.
No, it completely hijacks your hormones. It makes you extremely anxious. And I would just expect it to just take it without question. I tried to express my concerns to my doctor, but she was living in this liberal ideology where you could just medicate yourself to recovery. But now that I've been off it for 2 years, I feel like I'm a new woman. I finally have full control over my mind. And I'm finally free to be who I am without being shackled. So Lindy.
I'm sorry. This story is going to live in my mind for way too long. I watched this like 2-3 times again last night. I'm trying to think of how many but the reality is, and then at the end, I always come back to this, like, oh, this is all like bullshit. This is all fake bullshit. Fuck. So I don't know what I'm even thinking about. Am I thinking of like the listener? Does nobody think about these stories? Like, what am I listening to right now? Or have you watched the Neil Ferguson and Sam Harrison new episode from yesterday? No. You don't take birth control? I do. The liberal doctor makes me do it. If you take birth control as a guy and then you come in the girl, the birth control goes into the girl and then she doesn't get pregnant. That's the whole point. Do you think IQ or EQ is more important? I don't even know if EQ is a real thing. It feels like a meme thing. Theo Vaughn deleted his post shitting on Zelensky. Good sign? Is it? He probably just got some pushback and stopped, but the fact that he even has that opinion is fucking crazy. God, this is so fucking cursed. Holy shit. What if Putin breaks the ceasefire? Whoa! What if a bomb drops on your head? Like, what a crazy, stupid. People listen to this stuff in passing and trust the host to either push back or not bring on guests who lie. Yeah, I guess. I mean, I guess you just have to be of a certain, like, I don't want to say low education, because it's not really accurate. It's not what we're talking about. If you just don't have any baseline information about a topic, it's very easy for you to be misled, I guess. When you see JD Vance's tweets and fully understand why his mom traded him for some perk 30s. Was his mom a crackhead or something? I regret engaging in the political dumpster fire of the Trump-Zelensky meeting. I simply want to do my small part in building bridges and pushing for long-lasting peace. I'll try to focus on that through long-formed, nuanced conversation with people on all sides. Every day, I go to bed, every night, praying for the deep state to save us. Please, deep state, where are you? Please, please, deep state, where are you at? Come, please.
And this is my podcast. The following is
We've already watched this video
a
before.
conversation with Satan, acclaimed CEO, entrepreneur, dear friend, and author of the recent best-selling memoirs, From the Depths I Shall Tempt Your Soul. Formerly known as Lucifer, Satan and I have become good friends, bonding over our shared love of literature, quantum physics, and creative methods of torture, like this podcast. As always, I hope to approach this discussion with empathy, to bridge the gap, promote open dialogue, and let love triumph over all, so that I can secure more AG1 partnerships. I'm Lex, and this is my podcast that I made.
I'll start talking.
29 minutes, bro.
Well, today seemed to be a tempest in a teacup with world historical geopolitical consequences. That seems like a contradiction in terms in many ways, but I think...
As a speaker of both, I can tell you Zelensky's English is better than Lex's Russian. I still can't believe Lex had the audacity to interview him in Russian. Bro, that was so cringe. It makes me want to interview some like Mexican diplomat or some bullshit and try to like flex my high school 1 Spanish. I want to have this conversation in Spanish because I think that it's better so we can understand each other, and then just like have a fucking translator for every other sentence. Oh my God.
That's what just happened. So my question is, was it a setup? Was it planned? Or are we really...
The whole thing, I'm not going to watch this whole video on this. The whole telling moment to me, but it's hard because Trump is so stupid that he could say fucking anything anyway. The whole telling thing to me was that line that he gave of, this is why we let it, I'm glad I let this go on for so long. I think that kind of gives the way. Fuck, was it not in this?
United States of
Can
America.
I reiterate for the 7 millionth time, although it doesn't matter and I'm just a boomer screaming into the wind, how much I hate searching on the internet these days. We have all the advanced technology and so much shit. 10 years ago, if I would have searched for like Trump Zelensky interview or whatever, or meeting, I would have gotten the full video in like my top 5 results. Okay, here we get this. I just needed one more word, I guess. And now it's like clips and all this other stupid shit and what the and reactions and fucking Christ. But okay, we needed to add meeting here, I guess. All the LLMs and AI in the world couldn't figure out what I was looking for. Thank you. Fuck, what did he say? I believe it was at the very end. What did he... Yeah, but what were the words so I can find it? Yeah, I thought it was like glad. I'm glad I let this go on. Oh, kept this going. There it is.
When you're wrong. We know that you're wrong.
But you see, I think it's good for the American people to see what's going on.
I understand, sir.
I think it's very important. That's why I kept this going so long. You have to be thankful.
Like, for him to say that after this blow up is like, feels so malicious. That's an insanely malicious statement. Which makes me feel like this was... I don't know, man. Would they really have, like, planned the whole thing out? I wouldn't put it past them.
With the world, and I want to get this thing over with. You see the hatred he's got for Putin. It's very tough for me to make a deal with that kind of hate. He's got tremendous hatred, and I understand that, but I can tell you the other side is exactly in love with, you know, I'd be so tough, but you're never going to get a deal that way. So that's the way it goes. All right, one more question.
Hey, I want to respond to this. So look, For 4 years in the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace and the path to prosperity.
Can you guys please stop saying they were ready to make the deal? Unless you can link me an article showing that Zelensky was ready to sign a deal with no security guarantees, you are wrong and retarded. I know that you want to link something that says, oh, Zelensky was going to Washington to sign the deal. Bullshit. There is no shot he was going to sign any deal that didn't have some kind of security guarantee baked in. I don't believe that. It would be pointless. It wouldn't be worth anything. I don't believe that that's the case, that he was probably going there with the hopes of signing one, but it was after getting some kind of security guarantee from the United States.
Is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the pathway of Joe Biden of thumping our chest and pretending that the President of the United States' words mattered more than the President of the United States' actions. What makes America a good country is America engaging in diplomacy. That's what President Trump is doing.
Can I ask?
This is ridiculous, dude. It's nice to finally have some transparency. The transparency is truly welcome. What do you think explains the liberal media refusing to hold Trump accountable? I think that, I don't know. I think that they're still a little bit traumatized from being accused of like having Trump derangement syndrome over and over again. Or just exhaustion and it not feeling meaningful. Wait, what? You should watch that Sam Harris video. The other dude's takes are crazy. Does he post it on YouTube? I guess it's pretty simple. Putin helped plan it out, got some questions that would trigger him, then told him to let him cook and seemed ungrateful.
Country, and I think it's ridiculous that we're focused on this border in Ukraine. I got to be honest with you. I don't really care what happens to Ukraine one way or another. Country, and I think it's ridiculous that we're focused on this border in Ukraine. I got to be honest with you. I don't really care what happens to Ukraine one way or another.
Right, let's bring in Tyson Barker, a foreign policy analyst who most recently served in the Biden-Harris administration working on Ukraine. Tyson, good to have you with us. If we can start from the beginning, what's your reaction to what happened in the Oval Office?
Well, it's clearly a moment that will live in infamy. President Trump said it himself, and I think it's consistent with his leadership style at the end that this will make for good television. And I think it was, in some ways, a produced moment. I think in the run-up to
him saying that at the end, I feel like it reinforced everything I said about it. At the end of the day, these guys are influencers. Trump is the first influencer president. And all of this at the end of the day is just for clicks and attention.
This visit by President Zelensky, there were questions around whether the critical minerals agreement was being negotiated in good faith by the Trump administration. And the intervention by Vice President J.D. Vance in the Oval Office is, to be quite frank, in this way, highly irregular. So I think that there needs to be consideration as to whether or not this was actually premeditated.
One of the many things you allude to in this debate that was laid bare was the personality of Vice President J.D. Vance. What did you make of his involvement in last night's clash?
Well, he has become the tip of the spear for a specific faction of the Trump administration. He is somebody who speaks in an unvarnished way to the alt-right. He is somebody who's connected to alt-right media, and we see him trying to basically assume that role as ambassador for the bad cop side of the administration in multiple iterations, including at the Munich Security Conference a couple weeks ago. So that was
J.D. Vance? Am I missing things? Does he do alt-right stuff?
consistent with this role. But it's hard to imagine a situation in which he makes such a statement, and it was quite condescending, to be quite honest, to President Zelensky in the Oval Office without the explicit predetermined permission of his boss.
And yet, Tyson, Zelensky says that his relations with the United States can still be repaired. As hard as it seems to imagine at this moment, how vital is it for the transatlantic relationship that Ukraine and US kiss and make?
I mean, it's the Peter Thiel types.
Up here.
It's absolutely essential. The Ukrainians' war effort is completely dependent on the provision of material and economic support from the United States. There are still a number of lines of effort. Some have been paused, as we saw emergency energy assistance.
Do you think some EU countries will or should cancel weapons deals with the US in future days and weeks? Maybe, yeah, hopefully. I think if Europe is going to move, listen to me, Europe, okay, as the American whisperer. If Europe is going to make moves to punish the United States for Trump's actions, it has to be as soon as fucking possible. Because if you drag your fucking feet on it, and if you wait for years, and in 3 or 4 years, you finally start to do it, people aren't going to feel the effects during Trump's administration. It can't be this kicking and dragging and whatever, and waiting and, you know, whatever. And then 2 or 3 years, and I was like, okay, fuck, we got to get serious about this. Like, there needs to be a strong message right now. Like, it has to happen very soon, you know? Yeah, I saw that Norway is refusing to refuel our shit. I think there should also be a huge boycott of everything having to do with like Tesla and shit. I think people should boycott the fuck out of that. Although I guess it's hard because if you already have a car, I mean, if you have a Tesla, you can trade it in anyway. Fuck it. You're probably wealthy enough to do it. Do you think that the average American cares about the suffering and deaths over there? Like, is this a possible valid attack in the midterms, or will it just not matter? I think in a way, Ukraine doesn't really matter at all to people in the United States. And I think in another way, it's like the most important thing to people in the United States. I think that the actual factual matters of things don't matter. Nobody really cares. Nobody knows what's going on. But the story and the narrative of what America is, or what America should be, or what America represents to the world, I think Americans do care about that. But again, the issue is that the concept of America has taken such a beating. It was basically, as much as I hate to say it, it was only the neocons that were holding up this concept of America being a good country. And it was like the left that was like, well, no, slavery, and Christopher Columbus was a bad guy, and we fucked over the natives, and America's racist and evil and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, well, you know, America, the neocons are there to simp for our big businesses and to simp for America, and the left is there to push us forward socially and, you know, hold us accountable, I guess, whatever. But now that the right doesn't like this country and it's like, fuck America, fuck the big business, and fuck everything else, the left is not ready to pick up that banner. Even though Kamala kind of tried in being more positive about the United States, the feeling doesn't feel genuine or authentic there yet, so.
Was paused yesterday. The provision of future weapons is under consideration to be paused. This would have an extremely deleterious effect on Ukraine's war effort. But I have to say, and this is where Zelensky has a unique brand of leadership, and the man has stared death in the face and has a spine of steel, that they are not going to do anything everything to win the U.S. support. What the Trump administration has done in this case, and what President Trump has said, is basically, you are now at an asymmetric and weakened negotiating position. You are not in a position to ask for concessions in any kind of ceasefire.
Do you just reject the idea of the mineral rights leading to this administration's desire for security of Ukraine? I don't think mineral rights are a big deal at all. It's just some random retarded negotiating chip that they can use to bargain for whatever. I don't think it matters that much.
And
it's not like there are that many. Like, Ukraine doesn't even have that much in terms of exploitable resources for how much Trump seems to be making a big deal out of it. It's just not.
Negotiating position. You are not in a position to ask for concessions in any kind of ceasefire. And that seems to indicate that Trump is biasing himself in any peace negotiations on the side of Vladimir Putin. And that is obviously very worrying for not only Ukraine, but also Ukraine's European allies, who came out in force in the media yesterday after this event to reaffirm their support for Ukraine.
Yeah, Trump said Ukraine didn't have the cards to play. It did feel like he was also talking to Europe. Does Europe have any cards to play? If not, how does Europe arm itself with those cards to play in these negotiations?
Well, Ukraine's future and the beginning of this conflict, which started actually in 2014, was all about the movement of Ukraine geopolitically from Russia's orbit to the European Union's orbit. And
why does the Israel-Palestine conflict matter more to Americans than Ukraine? Older Americans have a very favorable view of Israel. I don't think Ukraine is the same. Most people, older people, would have just saw it as part of the former Soviet Union and then its own country that had a lot of corruption issues, which it did for a long time. So we don't have that same attachment to Ukraine or the people of Ukraine or religiously to Ukraine like we do with Israel.
And in fact, if you remember the Maidan revolution, it was EU flags that the Ukrainians were waving on the Maidan. The European Union continues, with the UK and others, continues to be the biggest provider of assistance for Ukraine, economic and security, well, less security assistance, but economic assistance. But without the United States being a co-pillar in that, that would be a lot for Europe, Japan, Canada, and the UK to compensate. So the question is, do they have it within their stocks financially and also militarily to start to try to make that up? I think that there's thinking about that. You see that with Friedrich Merz's statement after the election, but it's going to have to happen on an extremely accelerated timetable.
Foreign policy expert Tyson Barker, it's been great to get your input. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is anybody else having a thing where in DGG chat, I don't know if this is in other places, Google Chrome doesn't make your link purple after you click it? Why? The fuck?
A very good
chat
question.
Because you guys make everything sound so simple, sound so like the face value. It's like back in the days when there was COVID and the vaccines. A lot of the vaccines went to waste. You know that? A lot of the vaccines went to nothing because they just expired. They went to nothing. Why? Because they had to give our their own people, right?
Do you think the mineral deal is more to do with Trump needing to be seen as a win? Like it's something to accept purely for optics and Zelensky wasn't properly clued in about this? I just don't know. I think Trump is just trying to extract as much from any situation ever. Like, don't let a good crisis go to waste, like that saying, except on steroids. I think that's just what it feels like.
The vaccine themselves, right? The U.S. people, right? They have certain supplies, certain predictions, and a lot of it was superfluous, right? But that's fine, right? That's just the cost of business, right? That is just. But then, of course, you're gonna come across people who are saying, "Yo, dude." Why do we have like 3 times the amount that we need? A lot of it goes to waste. Just send it to other country. Yeah, that's fucking brain dead. That's a minus IQ dumbass shit. That's because that's just the way it is. Like, oh man, if people say question mark, I can't. Wait, nobody said that. Oh, if you guys completely forgotten?
How is this relating to this?
Dude. I don't know how much it's gonna cost exactly to go out and eat dinner. I'm gonna bring $60. Okay. Oh wow. Guys, you bought a steak because you're very hungry. Oh my god, dude. It's too much food. You didn't eat the whole thing. There's 20% left of the steak. Dude, you should have gotten a smaller steak. Dude, dumbass. You should have ordered, obviously, the smaller one. No, sometimes there's a little bit over, and you can't send it.
My coworkers are all 3 flavors of Trump supporters. I went really hard on them before the election. Do you think I should change tact and try to be softer? I waffle back and forth a lot. For people in your personal life, you should always be soft, unless you don't care about their opinion. You'll never change somebody's mind in real life by being like super brutal. You always have to just kind of be soft, ask questions, poke and prod like very gently, and try to appeal to their values. Like, oh, when you voted for Trump, did you think he would have said this about Zelensky? Or do you think it's a good thing? Like, should America play a role here? Or do we feel like Russia's winning? Or I don't know. Like, you have to be gentle in real life.
It's gonna rot, and it goes to waste. It's just, a massive portion of food in the United States, like meat, goes to waste. It goes to waste. It's just what it is.
It's a pathway to peace. It's a pathway to getting something solved. And I feel that as the head of this country, I have an obligation to do that. Plus, we're very much involved. We got involved. It's too bad we got involved. There should have been no involvement because there should have been no war. And there shouldn't have been October 7th. That would have never happened. As you know, Iran was...
This is minutes. I don't know what you want me to watch this for. What?
You know it's actually crazy? I love when people say, oh, dude, too much money in military. Put $0 in why is my $10 goal going to military? The same people that say that, they're like, dude, send 1,000 trillion to every nation to help with the wars going on. Brother, you can have it both ways. It's not something you can have both ways, but I can see how maybe the rock's gone to your brain. It's gone inside.
This is what you told me back then. Will Ukrainians survive without Congress support? Of course.
We'll explain.
Not all of us. It will be tragic.
How am I wrong? Explain.
Okay. When are you doing call-ins? For what? Wait, is this photoshopped? This isn't real, right? Your link issue is solved by disabling this Chrome flag. What the fuck? Disabled? Relaunch. Oh my god. He did it. What a god.
All of America. Hey, Sam, why don't you answer a quick question for me? Why are the richest counties in all of America the 5 major counties in the DMV right around Washington, D.C.? Can you explain to me, what do those counties do? Are there some mineral deposits there I don't know about? Did they strike oil? Is there some type of rich industry that's created around Washington? Maybe you can answer me that question. Why are those people so filthy rich? You don't seem to like rich people, so maybe explain why.
I can answer that question.
What does D.C.
You want me to
make,
answer it?
Sam?
It's lobbyists. It's lobbyists like all of the ones that have been appointed to Donald Trump's cabinet and to political positions. Rich lobbyists for all sorts of these industries that you supposedly have a problem with. I mean, that's where all the money is being made. It's not being made by federal workers. It's being made by lobbyists. And those are sent by corporations. If you will join me as...
What is the average salary of a lobbyist? I feel like there's no way these guys make like millions and millions of dollars now. Aren't there a lot of like... Am I making this up? Aren't there a lot of tech and defense jobs around the DC area? I know that I lived with at least one person who worked for a private military contractor up there. Like, I feel like there are a lot of
part of my campaign that you're interested in me running the Democratic Party, in calling for Donald Trump to fire all of the lobbyists he's hired so far, it wouldn't leave many people left in the government. But
is there a better line of attack against Benny Johnson in this case, though? The most boring thing to me, the thing that pushes me out from wanting to do politics the most, is when people have two facts and they present them as though there's this huge causal link between the two and they haven't even begun to do the work to establish that. It's genuinely one of the most boring things and one of the least, I just hate it. To say that there are wealthy zip codes around DC, like, isn't all of New England relatively wealthy? Like, isn't that whole area up there? Like, I feel like I've been to like Boston and areas in that DMV area, Delaware, Maryland. I feel like there's a lot of wealthy areas in that place. I don't even know if the 5 most wealthy things are there. I could look it up, but like, if the argument you're trying to make is, are you trying to make the argument that these people are getting rich in public office? Then demonstrate that. You're a journalist. Wipe the smug, shit-eating fucking retard grin off of your Russian-compensated face, because that's what he got paid for, was to do Russian propaganda, which is what he does in the United States, and do some fucking homework for once in your life. Treat your job like an actual serious endeavor and do some research and actually demonstrate with some sort of proof that people are getting paid a disproportionate amount of money for working in DC, instead of just tying in two facts together that my 13-year-old son could find during recess. It's fucking retarded. So I don't know. What would my response be? This is just, it's the dumbest, most like, on January 20th, you guys said the world was going to end, and then Trump was elected and the sun rose. Like, explain that one, liberal. How did the sun come up when Trump was elected, if not because of Trump? It's just like, I'd rather honestly just kill myself than try to have that conversation. Like, ugh.
Industry that's created around Washington do? Are there? Hey, Sam, why don't you answer a quick question for me? Why are the richest counties in all of America?
America's richest counties. Wealthiest? Is it richest, wealthiest? Yeah, how about we not do the one at a time cancer bullshit? He said 5. So we have Loudoun County, Virginia. We've got Santa Clara County, California. San Mateo County, California. Okay. Falls Church, Virginia. And then Fairfax County, Virginia. Okay. So 2 of these are in California. So, okay. What was the claim?
Hey, Sam, why don't you answer a quick question for me? Why are the richest counties in all of America the 5 major counties in the DMV right around Washington, D.C.?
Okay, so the claim is wrong. I would just say, oh, your claim is wrong, and then I would just stop there. I wouldn't even waste my fucking time. But then afterwards, I don't know, why are people in Loudoun County so rich? I mean, you can look it up. My guess is going to be there's probably a fuck ton of generational wealth here. It's a New England area. Families that have lived here since probably the founding of the fucking country. But they're not even like so filthy rich that you would think that like, did you know that Loudoun County is the richest county in the country? Oh my God, really? Yeah, bro. What do you think their median income is? I don't know, man. Like $1 million probably? No, it's $178,000. Oh. Like, okay. Not New England, brother? What counts as New England again? New England. Honest to God, I just say all 13 original fucking states. I call them all New England. Connecticut, Maine, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, and Vermont. Oh, okay. Whatever. Fuck you. Damn. Okay, not even... Whatever. No one cares. East Coast, okay. Probably got the population and space of those counties, and they're small as fuck compared to Silicon Valley. Maybe. Well, but it's not about size. This is going by median income too, right? Is there an easy way to bring up the median income of all the districts around DC?
join me with that, we can start to chip away at that problem you have with the counties around DC.
Also, conservatives just can't complain about money buying politics literally ever again. And like not for the next 20 years. I'm sorry. Like you've completely ceded all the moral high ground on that. With Elon Musk being as involved as he is. How does Benny Johnson still have a career? I think he's tapped into like the normie MAGA audience and he does content for them.
And then we end up finding out that, you know, Tesla might be getting $400 billion for armored cars.
400 million. Billion would be an insane amount of money, but
or we find out
they're not doing that.
or they might or that they might be using Starlink.
Oh, well, that's
instead of
what
you know
else?
what I mean? Like,
look, I think
you don't think that
they're not going to like it anytime Musk gets paid by the U.S. government because he's working so closely with Trump.
Yeah, but it's conflict of interest. It seems it's so simplistic that you shouldn't be doing that.
What's the other system though? Like.
Do we even know like what conflict of interest means anymore? Like conflict of interest, like it doesn't matter if the other options aren't great. It's just the idea that people would even like the idea that you're negotiating with a guy who's also basically running the government against contracts for his own company. It doesn't matter. Like even if they would have made the exact same choice otherwise, maybe they would have negotiated a better contract. Maybe it would have been a whole lot cheaper. Maybe there would have been some alternatives that they could have went with. But
Starlink is the only thing of its kind. Like it's there's no like Pepsi Cola to go with. You know what I mean? Like there's Verizon.
Wait, who else? Satellite TV was a thing when I was in fucking high school. There's never been ever any other type of satellite internet provider. Is Starlink really the only one in the whole world? It might be the best. That wouldn't surprise me because they have the most coverage.
You don't think there's something wrong with the guy in charge of the budget making money from the budget?
Well, he's not in charge of the budget. He has no.
He's in charge of cutting the budget. You don't think that there's a conflict of interest of what he's doing?
Like this is like this should be a 14.5-minute conversation just on this topic because like you're clearly not in the proper headspace to even have a real conversation if you can't admit this, right? Remember, Hunter Biden, who wasn't even in office and had no influence whatsoever on any policy at all, him being on the board of an energy company in Ukraine was enough to investigate fucking Joe Biden, okay, for 350 centuries, okay? But now when it comes to the U.S. government negotiating its own contracts against a guy who is auditing every single department who's best friends with the president, well, I mean, like, get the fuck out of here. Oh my God, get the fuck out of here. This is so disingenuous.
Finding ways in presenting that to the president of the United States that we elected. In presenting that to the president.
There's a conflict of interest of.
Oh, look at how good. This is also, it's so nice, the human centipede of media. Do you see how like the 15 times digested shit is all the way down here out of Kyle's mouth now too? He won the election. Yeah, he's elected by the people. Elected by the people.
What he's doing
in charge of finding ways in presenting that to the president of the United States that we elected. Just like all the other people that work for him.
I'm sorry.
He's not running it by Trump. The guy's got.
He's not running it by Trump.
He's not running anything by Trump.
It doesn't matter. Even if he, like the liberals here are biting, they don't even need to bite this bullet. Woody, it doesn't matter if he's running and bite or not. You would never accept this. You would never accept this with any type of Democrat leader ever. That some random dude, fuck random dude. Let's just go right to the big guns. Imagine George Soros running a department in the White House, auditing federal departments, and then selling his own services to the U.S. government. They would never accept this. Just ask him that. If George Soros was, no, you can't ask him because they'll just fucking lie. Because Kyle will lie and go, well, you know, I'd probably be okay with it. They'll just lie about it. But you should at least say it for the audience. The audience, some of them will hear. Remember, you only need like 5%. 5%, guys. That's what we're aiming for over here, okay? 5%. It has to hear how ridiculous that would be on the conservative side.
Trump.
No, Trump is a hand.
Trump is sleeping during the press conferences, bro.
So you think that Musk finds the ways, and then he goes and writes an executive order to stop it himself? Like obviously.
And then look at how like Kyle phrases it in the most retarded way possible. Woody's response should be, this is what Woody's response should be. Okay? I was like, you think that Elon Musk himself writes executive? You should go, oh, no. I'm sorry. You're right. Hold on. Let's bring up an executive order and read this. Do you think that Donald Trump wrote this executive order unassisted? I just want to hear you say that. I want you to say that the guy, and he's the best guy, and I've seen this guy, and he's the greatest guy, and he's such a guy, that's Trump, okay? He's the guy writing these executive orders and all the formalistic legalese and everything else. Seriously? You really think that? Donald Trump wrote the sentence, covered contracts and grants means discretionary spending through federal contracts, grants, loans, and related instruments, but excludes direct assistance to individuals. Like, really? Obviously, there are people that write him help the executive orders. Why can't Elon Musk be one of them, right? It's just...
He goes and writes an executive order to stop it himself. Like obviously.
You think there's an executive order for these things? That's what you're saying. You're saying that Trump is signing an executive order to cut Sesame Street. That's what you're saying?
I don't know how.
Well, you made it up, I think. Like, I really think.
Oh! How did Kyle go from, you really think this is how it works? To then Woody asking me a question. I was like, well, I mean, I don't know how it works. Oh, well, thanks for clarifying now that you've been called on your bullshit. So if Woody didn't question that, were we just supposed to assume that you did know how it was going to work? Like,
I'm not making.
He can literally
tweet this shit
They're often
and
based
tell
people not to go to work the next day. I've seen it on Twitter, right?
There's no procedure happening here.
Autonomy.
Yeah, there's no procedure happening here. There's no.
Also, keep in mind that while we are dooming on Trump, okay, so in a way, this last month has been both absolutely horrifying, but he's also been absolutely ineffective as a leader as well. Trump has not done anything in terms of agenda setting for Congress. Trump, like nothing is there. The budget stuff, I think, is in mayhem right now. I don't know if Trump's provided any guidance whatsoever. All Trump is doing is what he can by executive order. I don't know if anything meaningful has even been accomplished yet, other than the dismantling, I guess, of parts of the federal government that's being challenged in the courts, that the Supreme Court is not being forced to rule on in his first month in office. I
don't understand what you're suggesting is happening. You're making it sound like Elon Musk is writing laws and implementing them.
No one's writing.
Like, imagine how crazy Kyle is being now. Like, are you saying that? Hold on, Elon Musk is walking down with an assault rifle and he's making people give him in what, $100 bills, money for his company? Like, nobody's saying that. The easy, strong version of Woody and Wolf Paintball's claim is just that Elon Musk probably has a huge amount of influence in the government and can influence them to buy contracts, especially when he's the one doing the auditing. He doesn't have to be writing the actual executive orders to do that. He doesn't have to be passing word for word or like executive orders to Trump or passing law himself. Like, why such a ridiculous interpretation of what's being said here?
And altering our budget.
Decisions without laws.
What decision is he making?
What to cut and what to fund. That's a huge conflict of interest.
There's no way. No,
you're telling me Donald Trump signed an executive order to send the Ebola employees home? No, it's done willy-nilly.
Whoever sent the Ebola employees home, it wasn't Musk. He didn't order them home.
So USAID did it for fun? How do you think this stuff happens? Like, did they get bored?
It wasn't his. It wasn't.
But it's under his watch. It's his people doing it.
He should ask him, how do you think that happened? What do you think was the chain of events that led to them going home?
Yeah.
It's his organization doing it.
Yes, it is. Thankfully.
So it is Musk.
That's like saying the Secretary of State is working autonomously, or the Secretary of Defense.
Because they follow they follow. There's a judicial. That's why you have 3 separate forms of government to watch over the other. You have the judicial.
Fuck, he missed it. I thought he was going to say it, but no. When the Secretary of State or the Treasury Secretary, when these guys do things, he was saying it, and then he switched to this 3 branches thing. I don't know why I did that. They have procedures that they follow. I'm sorry. What department is Elon Musk a part of? Elon Musk wasn't even named the head of the own fucking Doge department. So that should have been the question. What department is Elon Musk a part of to be cutting anything from USAID or the Treasury or the SSA or anything.
How our government system works. It's our system.
Okay,
What I'm saying to you is the president is perfectly within his power to hire someone to go to work for him.
Then why are TROs being issued in multiple federal courts stopping exactly this type of behavior? This is, why am I?
You made it sound like he needs the president needs to be in there hacking through, like running through code.
No. I think he's saying
I
that
said you make
the president has no idea what's being.
As if the president has to have complete control and he has to have his hand in every pocket.
You're making it sound that way. He said
that Elon's doing it without the president.
And you're like, no, the president is signing executive orders, making sure that like the checks and balances on everything Elon does. I'm like, no, I think Elon's working with a lot of autonomy. A word I don't know.
Autonomy.
I don't think that anything is happening. I don't think any changes are happening without Trump's okay. And if you watch these,
like, what do you mean when you say that? No changes are happening without Trump's okay. So do you think that they're running every single line item by Donald Trump?
Did you watch the meeting yesterday?
The cabinet meeting thing
where
Elon
spoke the whole time and Trump was
Elon's up there. He's like, Trump's the boss. What Trump says is what I do. I work for the president. And then you laugh at that. It's like, oh, he's lying when he says that. He's really in charge. Who's in charge?
I wasn't laughing.
Oh my God. But you guys laugh at fucking everything. Obviously, Elon is saying that. But like, so I just want to hear him say it then. You think that Donald Trump is the one going line by line? So then are we not supposed to believe that Doge is doing anything? Did Donald Trump okay the Doge website? Is Donald Trump writing memos to the Office of Personnel Management and the Office of the OMB is the is it monetary budget? Management and budget? Is Donald Trump passing memos to them? Like,
I was laughing. I was laughing because I don't think Trump.
Why would you like that? You didn't laugh.
I don't think Trump has any inkling of what Elon's doing.
Okay. Well, you've probably got more insight than I do on the issue.
So keep in mind, I guarantee you, I would bet $100, and by $100 I mean $100 million, that if we were to go back through all the PKA episodes, Kyle has probably accused the White House of being not run by Biden during his 4 years over 100 times. We all know Biden's not in charge. We know Biden's not doing it. We know Biden's not doing fuck all. No, Biden's not doing it. But the idea that Musk, the guy who runs Doge, the guy who talks about Doge, the guy who's tweeting about Doge, the guy who is talking about all the things Doge is doing, that's not the guy running Doge and then effectively the rest of the federal government. It's actually Trump doing it while he's out golfing, or like, it's so disingenuous. Like it's such a, and then conservatives can always just laugh it off because
of what Elon's doing.
Okay. Well, you've probably got more insight than I do on the issue. But
I don't think it's a matter of insight. It's more of a matter of I don't think that Trump is signing off on what Elon is doing. I think Elon's just doing stuff and sending out emails and give us 5 points or you're fired. And Trump.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
But no one's doing it. Well, even the new head of the FBI told his people to ignore that nonsense.
Well, yeah.
The guy Trump just appointed.
Well, yeah. Obviously, yeah. And it's like, it's the all roads lead to Rome. Hold on. Okay. The president did an executive order and then giving basically Elon Musk the power to do all these things. Elon sent an email out to every single person. Okay. How do we make this make sense? That half the departments were literally like, ignore that fucking email because that dude is crazy. Okay. How do we make this make sense? Okay. We got it. Hold on. I don't even know if I can guess the answer here. I actually don't even know if I can guess what he's going to say. Well, yeah, they told him to ignore it because it's got to be a gift that it's a muscle you exercise for MAGA. I actually can't even guess what he's going to say. What is he going to, how could he possibly explain away this? Well, yeah, because, oh, wait. Hold on. There's one way out. Well, yeah, because the email was sent by Musk and Musk doesn't actually have any power at all. And that actually proves my point. The fact that they weren't willing to respond to that email shows that Musk doesn't have anywhere near as much power as you say does. Maybe that's my one out. Okay, let's see what he says.
He fired a bunch of
and the reason you can ignore it is because he doesn't have any real power.
Oh, I got it. I live in the MAGA mind. I exist in the MAGA mind right here. Okay, I got it. And that just proves your point even more that Musk has no power. Oh my God, we're there. Okay, we're there.
Right?
Well, but yet people are being sent home in other departments. So
yeah, they asked for a list of all the.
A lot of it is just like the facts too. There's just so many underlying facts, and I don't blame any of these guys for not being able to keep up with all of them because there's so much shit. But it's like, oh, they have no power. So when they tried to go into the Treasury building and they're firing every single person that gets in their way. Oh, we can't get in security. Fired. Oh, deputy secretary. Fired. Oh, the HR person fired. That's no power. Okay, gotcha. Okay.
the people who didn't reply. So apparently,
not everybody's standing up to Elon.
We need that list. We need to look.
Bro, it's unwinnable. This is an unwinnable argument. It's like you're fighting like a clown that exists in like 5 dimensions of Shadow Warriors, and it's like, holy
Look at
fuck.
that list and see how many of them are alive.
Yeah, I don't see what's wrong with like asking IRS agents to be like, hey, what are you working on? Because like
I hate these arguments too. Like all of a sudden, the guys who are the most anti-bureaucracy, the most anti-anything, like all these middle managers, we need to be efficient. And it's like, well, I don't see what's so wrong about some random knuckle-dragging Neanderthal dipshit coming in and having you email saying, what are 5 things that you worked on in your job? I don't see the big problem with that. Like, how many hundreds of thousands of how big is the federal government? How many tens of thousands, 100,000 man hours are wasted responding to bullshit-ass fucking emails? Like, is Elon going to come around your offices and do stand-up with you in the morning to ask, like, what everybody's working on? Like, what? It's so, now we're pro-bureaucracy? The fuck?
We all just admit, like, we all know there's a huge amount of bloat and waste. Like, we fund this. Like, every government employee who's sitting there on their ass doing nothing all day, like, we
this is what we're talking about with the left. You say, oh, the left likes finding the waste. I love that. But
they're not finding, you're not finding waste. Just as a reminder, to date, 0 proof of any waste, fraud, or abuse being found so far. How many weeks have they been there? Now, I almost can't believe it, because the federal government, there has to be some, I imagine. There's probably some waste, fraud, or abuse, I'm sure. But maybe you need somebody who actually knows how to do auditing, or somebody who actually knows how to find waste, fraud, and abuse. The only thing they've cut so far are just programs they don't like. That's not waste, fraud, and abuse. I'm sorry. Just because you don't like something, it can be the most trans drag queen storybook reading hour in the world. It could be a drag queen reading trans Harry Potter fanfic to pure black community children who are all being brainwashed at the same time. It doesn't matter. That's not waste, fraud, or abuse. It's a program that you don't like.
You know, they don't like who's looking for it. That's the problem.
I don't think either side likes finding it.
Yeah, I agree with what Kyle said.
They like waste more than they like the guy who's looking for it.
And it's especially sad because Kyle should know how bullshit these arguments are, right? This is like for all the trouble that he had with the investigations and the weed and all that bullshit, this is like the equivalent of like, oh, well, if you don't have anything to hide, you shouldn't be worried about people digging into it. I'm more worried about the fact that an ideologically possessed man who has no legal authority to audit these departments and no experience or history being able to competently audit departments is now running through every single federal department on an executive order that says that he's allowed to cut things that don't align with the president's agenda, who is now unilaterally hacking away at our federal programs. That's the issue. It doesn't. Elon Musk could be anybody. You could replace anybody in there. I wouldn't want anybody in that position. It's an insane position to even expect to be filled in. And there's a reason, again, why these temporary restraining orders, which are exceptional things, TROs are an exceptional thing from a court to issue, are being granted.
Finding it.
Yeah, I agree with what Kyle said.
They like waste more than they like the guy who's looking for it. They'd rather have their money wasted than have Elon be proven right.
Like, for example, they got rid of basically every probational employee, I think. You know, there were 6,700 IRS employees that got fired for being probational. And I'm like, man, that's like firing your sales force.
This is the most obvious. I'm going to get triggered. It's too early, guys. I've said this before. The IRS is like your litmus test for actual fucking brain dead retard. Like, why would you want to fire the guys who are the only profitable like division in the government that's in charge of bringing in money to your government? I thought you cared about deficits. Don't we? Don't we care about deficits? Don't we care about shoring up the budget? Like, how are you going to do this if you fire your fucking money collectors? And Woody's right. Yeah, it's like fire. It's like a car dealership is like, fuck, guys, we're having some big trouble with our sales figures. We're gonna go ahead and dump our entire sales floor. Okay, we're gonna try to bring this back administratively, I guess. Like,
and I'm like, man, that's like firing your sales force. That's where the money comes in. Every dollar you spend on the IRS brings $3 in. Why did they get rid of all the probational IRS employees?
Okay, I need like a Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, like TikTok. Are we going to answer that prompt honestly? Are we going to pivot to how much we don't like paying taxes? Or are we going to make a stupid joke? Those 3 options. Answer the question honestly for why the fuck would we fire probation officers? Maybe we don't need probation officers. Or are we going to say, well, I don't like them coming after my tax money anyway. Trump's tax cutting, so yeah. Or make a stupid joke and not answer at all. Let's find out.
It feels like they're hacking and slashing without enough thought involved.
I like that though, because I think it's the only way they're going to get to the bottom. I think that when you're looking for a blown fuse, you turn everything off and see what lights up. You know.
No, first of all, that's not how you find a blown fuse at all. That that's like the dumbest analogy in the fucking world. Okay. Sorry.
I mean, like, I think that by turning vast areas off, cutting vast areas, sending bunches of people home, the things that actually matter are going to pop up and get attention.
This is, I guess, yeah, it's like like if a patient comes in and they have a headache, drain all their blood, suffocate them, and crush their fucking dick, and then we'll see what, I don't even know how to, I don't even know like what world, in order to find the problem, we're going to shut every single thing. Like, how does it even make sense? I want to hear him speak. I want one of these people, please. Wait, Kyle, could you just talk through that a little bit more? Okay, so you're saying that, so let's say, hypothetically, what could be a problem with government? Let's say some IRS agents are not doing their job correctly. Okay, so let's shut it all down. Can you talk me through the process of how you figure out who wasn't doing their job correctly now? I just want to hear that, please. Like,
cutting vast areas, sending bunches of people home, the things that actually matter are going to pop up and get attention and get money sent to them. And the things that didn't matter so much, the people that turned out not to be real, they won't speak up because they're not real, and their places those money are being spent aren't worthwhile.
I do think there's a lot of employees who don't work very hard in the government.
I agree with that totally.
That is true, but if you ever make that concession, right before or right after, you have to say it's true in private industry as well. And anybody that has worked in any job ever in a large environment or not a large environment, small business, big business, all employees suck. And by all, I mean like 80%. That's just a reality of the world, okay? There is no, people act like private industry is like, oh shit, this guy, all of our software devs showed up 8 a.m. today. They got their coffee. They clocked in and went right to work. They timed their shits for 5 o'clock, so they're off the clock. They never do it on company time, and they're the most ruthless, cutthroat, efficient people. Like, oh, my friend John, like, oh yeah, it's real rough. We can never get a hold of him from 8 to 6 Monday through Friday because he's so locked the fuck in on his job. He's so ruthlessly efficient. It's actually insane. These guys are like fucking T-1000s. They go in like Terminator machines, and they're just so efficient. And they're like, bro, what industry do you work in where this is the case? Please, get the fuck out of here.
Friends that work there, and that's what they tell me.
Yeah,
it's worse than the private sector.
We've all heard.
No, I would never grant that concession. I wouldn't grant that concession at all.
The
Jobs
idea
are a joke at
of
certain
asking the government to be leaner and meaner.
Yes,
I just don't think Elon is looking carefully enough to get the right people. Things like send me an email or you're fired, like. That's reminiscent. Has anyone else had a really bad boss before?
Yes.
You know, like a boss that makes you feel like you're about to lose your job for bad reasons.
Yep.
Like that's what Elon.
That's what I want for government employees, though. They
I
work
would
for us.
rather have a boss that accurately measures the workforce and gets rid of the underperformers than one who sent like, hey, let's base it on this 5 bullet point email.
Like, this is the issue. Auditing is a skill in and of itself. There's a reason why auditing, like sometimes you bring in external companies to do the auditing for you. It's difficult to measure, to do all of your different performance metrics, to figure out who's working and who's not well. You know, can some employees be empowered to work better? Do some need to be, you know, pipped and then kicked? Do some, you know, they just need to go, it just doesn't work? Do we need to, you know, figure out a different way to organize departments? Like, these are difficult things to do. These are difficult things to do even for people that do it professionally. The idea that 102.5 IQ Elon Musk can come in, okay, grinning and cackling with one of his 17 fucking children, you know, hanging off of his back and pretend to understand anything about the function of government and how to audit these departments appropriately. It's beyond fucking stupid and naive and childlike. And, oh, well, he does rockets kind of, so he can probably come in and do anything.
Yeah, like you want to qualify people judging whether or not these jobs are effective or not. And like I said, the more trim, the better. The less government, the better I feel. But it has to be done reasonably and by people who know what they're doing.
I think if Elon's good at anything, it's this. I don't think he's an engineer. I don't think he's necessarily a genius. I don't think he's a rocket scientist or a financial expert.
But instead, he's a good government auditor.
But I think he's pretty good at trimming the fat. I think he's done that a lot. And I think he's really good at creating a workforce that is that type A personality, that go, go, go. Family is second, work is first. And you don't have to convince them of that. They're not going to post some mean text you sent them on Reddit and look how mean my boss was. on anti-work, they're going to be like, yeah, of course, I'm already here. What are you talking about? Come in early. I spent the night in the office. I'm on my fold out. Like that seems to be
some truth to that.
Like that's fine in a startup environment, or that's fine in like a super ultra cutthroat, in certain industries, that's fine. But do we want the average government worker to be that stressed to the limit? Like, I go into the DMV and they like wake up from the floor and they're like, oh, I spent the night, printing out new temporary paper licenses so I'd be ready to go. Like, keep in mind also that a lot of those people that are super ultra plugged in like that, these are people that are working startups that have like equity in the company. These are exceptionally talented people. This isn't your ordinary. It wouldn't be possible to have that ordinary expectation for a worker. You just wouldn't be able to find that many workers unless you want to like double or triple or quadruple the pay.
I think
if anything, like
I wouldn't want to work with him. None of us would work for him.
The
Fuck him. We'd say,
Ebola.
fuck him. He's a piece of shit. But I want him to like be my whip master when my government fucking employees are going to work.
Why, if you're not even willing to work for him, every single government employee then should be willing to work for the slave mat? Like, bro, it's your government. These are your fellow citizens. These are the people that are providing social services. Like, why would you even want this? Like,
I want him to be the one asked, what'd you do last week? Name me 5 things you accomplished. Tell me. Write me a little story about it. Like, yeah, bully them. I don't fucking care. Those government fucking employees.
Why are we always conceding that there is enormous bloat or inefficiency in all government departments? Oh, I explained this before. There's like a tactic where you say, don't you think we have too much of a bad thing? And the answer always has to be yes. You can never argue against it because it's just the way that the sentence is phrased. It's like, who the fuck is going to argue against it? Like, imagine, you come in like, don't you think there's too much child abuse in public schools? And it's like, fuck me. I mean, Jesus. Like, am I going to say no? Well, yeah, I guess there is too much. Don't you think there's too much police on citizen violence? Yeah, I guess. Yeah, sure. Yeah, okay, yeah. Don't you think there's too much, don't you think there are too many airplanes self-destructing in midair? I guess. I don't know how many. One is probably too much, right? It's just one of those questions where like, don't you think there's too much waste, fraud, and abuse? I guess. Sure, yeah. Is there though? How much is there? Do you know what percentage of any budget is considered wastefully spent or fraudulently procured or like abused? Like, do you even have a concept in mind of like, well, I actually don't know how much waste exists in the private sector, how much waste exists in the public sector. How do you even measure waste? Like 99% of people that say, oh yeah, I think there is too much waste, they have no concept of what that even means, of what any of it means. But it's a thing that you kind of like tautologically have to buy into. Like, I guess there's too much waste, fraud, and abuse, because you're not going to say, no one's going to say, no, I think there's an appropriate amount of waste, fraud. No one's ever going to say it. It just sounds bad to say.
Like they work for us, and they might not need to. They get all of those benefits.
I think we all.
They don't get all of it. Like, the government employees do not make bank. That's just not true. They don't make well compared to their private sector equivalents. It's just not. That's just not the case. But I guess Elon has convinced everybody that of the fat cat, the fat cat DMV worker, or the fat cat who works down at the VA or the Social Security Administration. Like,
for us, and they might not need to. They get all of those benefits.
I think we all agree with you on that point.
Security.
Yeah.
I think everyone agrees with you on that point totally. Yeah. But again, it's
to have anyone doing it is better than the history we have of no one at all doing it and just.
Oh, now like that's really smart and true, because I'm sure that nobody in the history of all of government kind has ever thought to look for waste, fraud, and abuse. It's not like almost every claim that Elon Musk has made, some Office of Inspector General has literally already written a report on, or that has already been addressed in some manner or form, or is currently being worked on. It's not like we have, government accountability office or anything else. Like, no. Finally, Elon Musk, the god, has come in to look at things. And it's like, okay. Like, Elon Musk could be assigned to any job in the world, and these people would like worship him for it. Like, did you see Elon Musk picking up trash off the street? I say, thank God somebody's doing it. Finally. Who would have thought that having a man outside picking up trash from the streets and putting it in a truck, thank God somebody's finally doing this. Like,
just letting this grow into a massive bloat monster with like no KPIs at all. Like no
KPI. What is KPI?
It just
no KPIs, no key performance indicators. What you think there's no way whatsoever? Like, give an example of what a KPI would be for which government office. Like, how do you do KPIs for USAID for Ebola, for instance? Like, are you trying to save a certain number of people, or like what?
It's like it's like metrics through which you can determine the success of a job. So like someone who's sitting on their
like
ass,
a return on
making,
investment per employee kind of thing.
Yeah. So like someone sitting on their ass at the DMV in the back, there's no metric by which to determine they're successful. And so
really, not a single government employee has a certain number of applications they're supposed to work through a day, a certain number of customers they're supposed to deal with a day, a certain number of deliveries, or a certain, like, nobody in the whole federal government. Seriously? There's just no expectations for any federal job. You get a job and they're like, oh, show up, you know, make sure you're dressed, and then, okay.
So if they get fired, they're going to go, I'm being attacked here. And it's like, no, actually, you haven't been doing anything. Like, no one's checking on you.
So this is what Cisco did. They made their managers fire 10% of their staff every quarter.
Jesus.
Right? I thought that was fucking ruthless. Right? That's 40% of your staff a year. Not every manager really did it. Sometimes some of them would work to protect their staff. Right. Percent of your staff quarter. Right? I thought that was fucking ruthless. Right, that's 40% of your staff a year. Not every manager really did it.
Oh, per quarter. He means okay. Jeez.
Sometimes some of them would work to protect their staff. They said they like the people they have.
I'm curious. I don't know anything about the Cisco thing, but I'm curious if that was like a new CEO came in and they were trying to like brutally cost cut because they were trying to turn the company around or something. Maybe, I don't know.
Well, what if they did that for a while? You know, hey, 10% of your staff gets cut, and then instead of Elon from 10,000 feet, 30,000 feet in the air.
Do we even know that the government is even bloated at all? Or is it just a baseless truism that we all intuited because that's right? No, it's just what I said. It's a truism. It's just like, oh yeah. Like, is there too much violence from cops to citizens? Yeah, there must be. Is there too much child abuse in schools? Yeah, there must be. Are there too many priests raping kids? Yeah, there must be. Is there too much doesn't mean anything. What you're really saying is like, is this thing bad? And the answer is always going to be yes. That's really all you're emoting there. And people have to say yes, because you're never going to say no to any of those questions, you know?
Making guesses at who's good and bad, using shitty fucking incompetent metrics like who replied to an email, and having their manager pick out their least.
Like a good question here would be, can you name one thing that Elon has done that seems like a way to increase worker productivity? Like one thing. What's an example, or what's one example of like waste or fraud or abuse that's been cut? Because the bullshit ass email, that ain't it.
Metrics like who replied to an email, and having their manager pick out their least effective employees.
I do see the 30,000 feet thing about the email, but like if Jeff Bezos sent that out at Amazon, like you bet your ass every employee who's actually working is responding.
Bezos built that company almost from the ground up. No shit, they would fucking respond. But I don't even know if Bezos sends emails like that, because they're probably fucking retarded emails. But Bezos is the CEO of your company, and he's been intimately involved in a lot of Amazon for basically since its inception, right? Like, what is the comparison here?
Like, the only people who are going to ignore that at Amazon are people who are
there's people who might be away, people who have more emails, people who are on vacation. Like,
I want to see them go through the Pentagon.
Very good metric.
That was sent out like a Saturday, wasn't it?
I don't know. And then, like Trump said, oh, we asked someone what they do, and if they stutter, they get fired. And I'm like, there's a good way to evaluate your tech staff. You know, like in IT, you're going to lose your whole fucking IT.
Yeah, because they don't know how to deal with people, right?
Now you talk about something that I can agree with you the left a little bit on. I saw these. They're getting rid of all the trans people in the military, and from what I understand, our trans cat boys are leading the world with that drone technology. When you go into one of those rooms,
really?
Like, I think those are the hackers and the.
This is like the truly fucked thing in our media environment, is that the only thing that Kyle is on board with is what's been adequately memed about enough on Twitter. This is the information landscape that we win in. There have been so many catboy, trans femboy memes about the Ukraine versus Russian drone wars, everything. And that's enough for him to turn his mind on that issue. So we just need more, I guess, trans femboy memes and all the other parts of the government in order to, I guess, save the government. Is that I'm a government employee doing software dev on a flight simulator, and it's disheartening hearing the public talk about us. It feels like they think all government positions are run like the DMV or post office. Well, fuck you, Mr. Government Employee, because even that, I mean, the idea that is a DMV run poorly or there's not enough employees there. And for post offices, I think post offices are still all self-funded. I don't think the post office takes any money from the government at all. That's a fully self-sufficient operation that guarantees mail to, I think, every single postal address of the United States of America. So fuck you for shitting on your fellow post officers, all right?
The network security guys and those.
You think they're the ones with
drone
the Xbox
operators?
controllers flying
Those
around?
are the guys that look. They're blowing up
Tell
Hodges
me
during
more.
the day,
Blowing what?
and at night they're putting their Foxtail butt plugs in, and they're having a good time. I saw
Effective strategy.
But what's interesting though, there's always an addendum, which I think is smart from him. It's never a closed door. It's I don't know. It's putting a guy by the door. He said all of them have to leave the military, et cetera, but they're not going to hunt them down or identify them necessarily. And they also added this thing at the end. It's like, also, if we really need you, we'll just keep you, basically, in other language. And they were like, if you've got a General Catboy, you don't have a damn thing to worry about.
Sergeant at ease. And he starts licking his hand.
It's like I love the concept. I hate the incompetence behind the firing. And to Taylor's point, I do get where he's coming from. Hey, I'd rather have someone incompetently try to trim the fat than no one at all. You know, and I see that. I get that. I just want better. You know, the security thing, right? The Republicans went fucking bonkers when Hillary used a private email server. But they take all taxpayer information and put it on Musk's private server, and they don't have a problem with it.
Oh, I haven't heard about that. Oh, shit. I was going to say, how is he going to respond to this? I don't think I would have guessed that. I think I would have guessed something about like, well, Elon is part of the government, so it's okay or something. But now it's going to be one of the, I haven't heard anything about this at all.
At all.
They put it on his private server.
I think so, yeah. I read it. I'm only as good as my sources. They copied it and put it on his yeah.
And who's even regulating
about it? Only
I would love to see some proof of that.
Oh my God. And now the skeptic. Well, hold on. I'm going to need proof for that claim. And you know that it's not going to be fuck a CNN article, WAPO, New York Times. It won't be in the form of an article. It's going to have to be a tweet that has like a fucking picture with Elon Musk and his grandma standing next to him to positively ID him, with a fingerprint scanner that lines up with some US biometrics database saying it's him, logging into a computer system that when you log in, it says, hello, Elon Musk, South African immigrant, owner of these 4 companies. Welcome to your database. And it's got to be like, oh my God.
I read was that he has no more access than college interns, which there are many that are working with the government, and there are lots of those guys.
What does that sentence even mean? Like, this is nonsense. I heard that he has no more access than college intern. Is it a college intern who's authorized to work in the department and has been given the necessary clearance to go? Why does it matter if it's a college intern? What the fuck? What does that even matter? What? Like, imagine you're sick at home and your uncle comes over with a fucking syringe and you're like, excuse me, what the fuck are you doing? It's like, oh, you said you were sick. I'm going to help you. Why the fuck would I want you injecting me with random shit? Isn't your doctor like 35 years old? Why do you trust him? I'm like 50. Why would you trust your doctor? He's 15 years younger than me. Like, what does anybody being a college intern have to do with having access to anything?
College interns, which there are many that are working with the government, and there are lots of those guys who have the same sort of, they called it read-only. I don't know anything about anything, but read-only.
I like how he doesn't know anything about anything, but he's heard the propaganda because he's repeating the propaganda line. Oh no, they had read-only access. They didn't have any write permissions, which, by the way, doesn't even